Nurji Chimbo Zonda Nyingma Lineage Chimbo Ngabjata Bakar Tanga Zando Sherma Do Tumba Tuji Janla Ki Shantar She Woman Juje Anje Pobrana Tizum Zanji Ganjingo Nye Ransum Joga Wansum Tonzubi Savela Manam La Ki Shantar Dason Due Lorna Chula Jir. Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome all of you, Dharma friends, Dharma brothers and sisters, gathered here again. And thank you very much for coming today. I'm happy to talk with you about practice and meditation again here today. And I also would like to say thank you to Bodhisattva Sangha for all the help. And all these teachings today, instructions, methods, and forms of practice share a common goal of helping people to become a good human beings and lead a better life and meaningful life. So today I have some useful instructions, and if some of them help you and solve your problems, then you're free to practice them. So when we practice, when we meditate, remember this: I shall benefit others through my practice. Very important, right? This is very important. You should recognize and that this is a very important moment. Very important moment. This is a very precious moment. Through that, your practice will be very meaningful and beneficial, because then it is a genuine Dharma practice. Buddha said very clearly, we should not practice his teachings for no reason or for the wrong reason. This is very important because sometimes people use the Buddha's teachings tool to accomplish their sort of mundane purpose, using the Buddha's power to build their wealth, to build their reputation, and to become famous. That is totally wrong. And that is not, we call good Dharma practitioner at all. But it is very, it is very unfortunate, right? Most of these people are Buddhist teachers. They're doing this. They do this for, I always think this, honestly, become for famous, using the Buddha's power, because we have amazing teachings. So if you don't have a good motivation, then you use the Buddha's power to build your reputation, wealth, famous, all of that. That's totally wrong. But, they do these things because it's difficult to control the, we call it worldly concerns, right? Everybody like that. It's very difficult. But the perfect Dharma You cannot do that. Buddha said that, right? You cannot practice my teachings for no reason or for wrong reason. That's that means, you know. You see in ancient time, in India, in Tibet, you see a worldly person and a spiritual person are very different. Patrul Rinpoche said in his What Am I Perfect Teacher, to claim that you can practice Dharma and worldly life at the same time is like one person ride two horses in opposite directions. He said that, right? In What Am I Perfect Teacher? You cannot do that. Usually, a good, Dharma practitioners, you can see we have a good examples, right? Ancient time in India, great teachers, masters, as well as Tibet, we have very good teachers, but they don't do this. They don't ride two horses that face totally different directions. They can't do that. They know that. That's why, Buddha left from his royal family. If you can do both together, then why? No reason why Buddha left from his royal family. That's another example, By the way, there is an Indian movie, okay, about Buddha's life history. It's beautiful. You should watch it if you have time. It's beautiful about his life. It's very long. I think 40, 30 episodes. It's very long, but if you have time, you can watch every day, little bit. It's I watched that like when I was last year when I was in Tibet. I think a month. I watched every day. It was amazing. I felt I'm very close to him. And he did this because for us, or he did that because for us. It's very important movie. And then they they do this. The movie is very according to his life, story. It's very good. If you want to watch that, that helps you to who is Buddha, to understand. So anyway, it is important to know when you first enter the teachings, there are two things you have to understand. It is important to understand the preciousness of the teachings, and then to have the aspiration to practice them and benefit others. There is a very important quote from the Buddha. I'm sure you remember this, right? He said that I can show you liberation, but I cannot give you liberation. It's very famous. It's very important. It's very important, famous because it's true, right? He said you have to liberate yourself. This means two things. You have to liberate yourself. Firstly, we have to take responsibility for our practice. Secondly, we all have the potential to awaken and to benefit others. We have the capacity to get liberation. As a human beings, we have wonderful qualities, and we have a great potential, ready to sort of be cultivated. We can plant anything in it. But only one that we have to understand, the understanding of ego is the foundation of Buddhism. So today, actually, I'm going to talk about ego all day. Okay? That's all, because I think it's very important. So let's look at how our ego mind develops. You see, fundamentally, there is no ego, okay? There is no ego, but there is just this open space, the basic energy, what we really are, okay? That is our most fundamental state of mind before the creation of ego. Is such that there is a basic openness, basic freedom, basic, quality, basic goodness, and then when we see an object, we just practice that things, and when we see in a beautiful whatever it's when we see an object, we just perceive that thing in the open energy, this basic energy, the ground, sometimes they call it ground, some in the Badas prayer, and they sort of ground. But immediately we begin to add something to it. And gradually things develop from right there. And this development is what Buddhists call illusory. Because there is a mistaken belief in an ego. And then what happens is we cannot see that basic openness anymore because we have added all these samsaric things, samsaric ideas. The beginning point is that there is an open space, right? Belong to no one. But now, you see, where did this confusion come from? Where has this basic energy gone? Actually, if you take a look, actually it's nothing has happened. Nothing has happened to this space, this basic energy. But we just feel very solid space is a separate entity. So that is the first experience of duality, which means I or you, right? You see, are the separate things. I, you. So that is the meaning of duality. And it makes the new birth of ego mind. And then, of course, there is attachment to your side and aversion towards others, which arise from ego. That is how we develop our ego. Fundamentally, there's no ego, but we create ego. And then we follow our negative habitual thoughts, which are the result of, again, the ego. And also, Buddhists call it ignorance. So these two are, ego and ignorance, are root of unhappiness. Therefore, the main purpose of teaching and our practicing is to control or heal our mind by overwhelming the unhappiness and discovering this open energy again. So what I'm saying is that it is important to find our path, because the right path is the antidote of ego and ignorance. So this is important to know at the beginning. Therefore, you see, great Master Atisha said, aim your mind at the Dharma. Aim your Dharma practice at simple living, and aim your death to be free from attachment and aversion. So you see, aim your mind at Dharma means we really need to discover our basic nature through Dharma practice. If we have established a good foundation and a good path, then we can discover the basic nature of our mind. So it is important that meditation always start by creating a good foundation. Therefore, there are a few things that are really necessary in order to practice Dharma. So it is very important to have a strong commitment to the practice of Dharma and to continue the specific sort of instructions of practice you're doing until you finish it. If you, for instance, if you do not have this commitment, strong commitment, you will not get anything done. And you will easily lose your intention to practice the Dharma. So to have a strong commitment to the practice is important. That's one thing. And in order to maintain a strong commitment, you must have a good understanding of the essence of the practice that you're doing. That's second thing. Because your practice has the ultimate benefit. Once you understand that, then you can sort of continually keep the strong commitment. Through that, experience your, commitment will be easy. So then you can practice, you can do your practice very well and meaningful. And it is also important in meditation to have the right motivation, which is based on bodhicitta, not this ego mind, right? So as I said, these teachers do this thing, use Buddha's power to build their reputation. That means they don't have good motivation. And another point of practice in Dharma is if we have a difficult situation, we should try to remember our Dharma practice rather than being very sad and losing our strengths, And second, that's why Atisha said, aim your Dharma practice, right? That's the reason. And why did Atisha say, aim your Dharma practice at simple living? This is also important because if we have a simple life, then we have less sort of desire. And then we reduce the amount of stress and worry as well as all these negative emotions. Otherwise, this samsaric pleasure never satisfied us. It creates more desires and obstacles, and then we have no experience of satisfaction. That's Buddha said. Therefore, it's difficult to practice Dharma because we have no sort of satisfaction because we have so many desires. So the point is that having received the Dharma teachings and practicing them, we should find the benefit when we examine ourselves. Okay? For example, after you have been practicing, you have to check yourself. Do you have less attachment or more attachment? Less selfishness or more selfishness? This is how you not investigate others. You have to investigate yourself. Less mindfulness or more mindfulness, etc. All the way. You have to compare, you practice long time, so you have to check right yourself. That's haven't received Dharma practice in, you have to find benefit from the practice, from your practice. So how do you know? Because you have to investigate yourself, So that's very important. Finally, Adisha said we should aim our death to be free from attachment and aversion. This is because our future life depends the moment of our death. So we want a calm and free mind at that time, if you believe future life. But if you don't practice right now, and especially if we don't sort of prepare right now, how do we expect to have that at the moment of death? So right now, that's what I'm saying. It's to every day you have to remember how fortunate. This is a very precious moment. So right now is the best time for us, to prepare all of this. So, okay, these are basic teachings, right? Basic teachings that are we really need to remember all the time. I always teach these things, the basic teachings, very important for us. Now, I will tell you some instructions on criteria for benefiting beings by Patrul Rinpoche. Because there are many good people who would like to help others, but sometimes they don't know the best way to help others, and instead indirectly harm them. So this teaching helps us understand how to help others and how to benefit beings. Usually, I think as ordinary people like us, it is okay to have a thought that whatever we do, we put ourselves first. Although it's normal to put ourselves first, what is not good is ignoring others and harming them. That's not good. So for our second thought, we must have a thought of a kind mind to others and put them second. We cannot ignore them as a practitioner, as a good practitioner, as a Buddhist practitioner. In order to do this, we must develop a kind mind. You see, bodhisattvas are the opposite of ordinary people, right? They are always acting to benefit beings. They put others first and then themselves second. We cannot do that because we are ordinary people. But that's okay. As I said, it's okay. If you want to put yourself first place, that's fine. But you cannot ignore others. So you must put others second. Right now what we do is we put first ourselves and then we don't care others. That's not okay. But we cannot put others first because, we don't have that capacity right now. So we should develop that capacity, right? So that eventually we can do that. And also usually when we think of the benefit in all living beings is good intention. May all sentient beings have happiness. It's good intention. But I think it's all living being means it's a very, very big picture. It's very big for us. And it's difficult to make everybody happy. Almost impossible. But it is easy to think that what brings happiness into our daily life and what is the best attitude that gives the most meaning to our life. Bodhisattvas are great human beings, okay, who genuinely take the bodhisattva vows, do nothing but act for the benefit of beings, either directly or indirectly. But you have to know, sometimes even bodhisattvas make mistakes. No matter how good their intention might be, it might not benefit beings, but could actually be a direct or indirect cause of harm, because bodhisattvas may still lack wisdom. Therefore, this teaching, Patrul Rinpoche instructions about how you act for others' benefit is very, very important. So Patrul Rinpoche give us teachings about when we should and should not act for the benefit of others. So these teachings will help us increase our wisdom. As I said, sometimes bodhisattvas also make mistakes because sometimes lack of wisdom. Of course, we don't have a good wisdom as ordinary people. So therefore, these teachings help us, increase, develop our wisdom so that we can act sort of properly. So Patrul Rinpoche's first consideration is the consideration of the benefit to both oneself and others. Now, quote, Patrul Rinpoche said that anything that would be of direct or indirect help and benefit to both yourself and others should be done. I will say this very slowly so that you can write down or whatever. Anything that would benefit you, but at the same time would cause harm to other beings, should not be done. If something would harm you but help others, then act in accordance with your situation. Okay? That's first consideration, Patrul Rinpoche's instruction. So I think if you are a beginner, then Patrul Rinpoche also says this, if you are a beginner, then the main thing is to protect yourself from harm, because you might not have bodhisattva's capacity. And also protecting yourself from harm will be the source of benefit to others. Ordinary people will reach compassion fatigue if they do not act within their capacity. When you get to that point, you won't be able to help yourself or others. If you examine your mind in everyday life, you can probably see that you don't have much capacity. So, you have to develop the capacity in order to help others. You see, why do people suffer a lot? Why do we have negative thoughts? That's I always when I practice bodhicitta, I always these two questions comes in my mind. Why do people suffer a lot? There's a lot of people suffering. Why do we have negative thought? So from a Buddhist point of view, the cause of this problem is selfish mind, the ego mind. That's why Buddha, do you remember Buddha himself, through his profound practice, recognized practice in a kind mind was an antidote to selfish mind. Therefore, Buddha suggested that everybody should practice a kind mind because everybody has this problem. That's why Buddha recognized and he taught that samsara is suffering. Samsara is suffering. It means samsara is suffering. It means no matter where you live, it is a place of suffering. No matter what enjoyment you have, it is the enjoyment of suffering. No matter what friend we accompany, it is the friend of suffering. So as long as we follow the selfish mind, there is no real happiness. That's why the Buddha said samsara is suffering. But samsara itself is not suffering. But the way we relate, suffering, make us suffering. Actually following the selfish mind, and itself is suffering, and itself is a problem. That is the nature of the selfish mind. If we are following the selfish mind, that is the cause of problem in our lives. It is the cause, the obstacles to our spiritual practice. Because it makes us unable to succeed in our Dharma practice. If we examine the nature of our mind, analyzing and questioning ourselves, we will find that as long as we follow selfishness, there is no real happiness. So unfortunately, many people are not aware of this truth of suffering. They think that samsara is not suffering. Samsara is wonderful. Samsara is beautiful. It's not suffering. What's wrong with Buddhism, right? Samsara is suffering. Many people disagree. Samsara is not suffering. I have a best family. I have a good life or whatever. Samsara is wonderful. And people say life is good. Life is wonderful. Maybe they have less selfishness. That's why. But sometimes people don't understand this ego thing. And under the control of this selfish mind, if you really understand it, we are under this selfish mind, control the selfish, we experience unhappiness. As long as we follow selfish mind, we will endlessly experience the suffering of samsara. That's why our samsara, my samsara, has no end if I follow my selfish mind. So I really think that we all should learn to live in a way that make meaningful life possible. Every day we should think about difficulties that people have and then try to cultivate a kind mind. Without a kind mind, we are in a very, very dangerous place. As a human being, if we have a kind mind, we become a genuine practitioner. That is the Mahayana path. That kind of motivation is what Buddhists call bodhicitta, a kind mind. So, what Patrul Rinpoche was saying is that if you are a beginner, you should protect yourself and develop a kind mind and develop your capacity, and do not act as a bodhisattva if you don't have that capacity. Otherwise, you will wear yourself out. But you have to really investigate how much you have capacity in order to help others. That is first instruction. If you have capacity, then help others. If you don't have capacity, try to develop your capacity. Okay, meditation. First of all, this is what I'm thinking now. Life is short. Okay, we have to do something good. So ask yourself, what is the most important thing for you to do in this life, the rest of your life? So first of all, we have to sort of recognize, as the Buddhist teachers say, since death is certain, but the time of death is uncertain. We never know what will happen. We really never know what will happen. But sooner or later, something will happen, for sure. We have to be aware of that. Again, I'm saying twice, sooner or later, something will happen to us. If you agree with me, then as bodhicitta practitioners, I think that we should do something good for others every day. It means, when I say we should do something good for others every day, maybe you think, oh, I don't have capacity to help others. No, it means just do at least one thing, not necessarily something big or all the time, okay? But just to do something for others, either mentally or physically, very importantly, based on a kind mind. Not necessarily big thing, okay? Because sometimes people think, oh, small things don't matter. But big things are sort of outside of their capacity. So then what? Then they end up with nothing, right? So we should do something even if it's small. So why I'm saying this, what during this meditation, it's not meditation, it's like analytical, actually, like investigate or thinking, or prepare, or try to find, develop your capacity. So investigate what you can do every day for others. Okay? Maybe you have already ideas, or maybe you're already doing it. That's very good. If you're not doing for good things for everybody, you have to really, this is time to think. So today we are talking about this ego mind and bodhicitta. That's all. So investigate what you can do every day for others. What is something in your capacity that you can do? Very importantly, what I'm saying is usually you do something good every day. But what I'm saying is this is different. Something that is 100% for others. 100% for others. Usually we are very mixed. It means our selfish, this ego mind, selfishness gets involved, right? So we do something good, but based on this ego mind, that's what I'm not saying here. I'm saying is 100% for others. So think of something very pure that is just for others, not yourself. Ignore yourself and for 100%. That's what I'm saying. You can't do this big or all the time. For sure, that's fine. But something very small. Either it could be a prayer, or physical act, or a kind word, whatever, or things like that, something. It doesn't matter what others think. So you have to understand that your mind, whatever you do, physically, mentally, whatever you do, based on kind mind, 100% for others. Not make sure that not your ego mind involves this thing. So investigate like that. Can you really do that? Like 100% pure. Can you do that? I'm sure you can. So investigate. I'm not saying you're not doing good things for others. I'm sure you're doing everyday good things for others, but I'm also sure it mixed with your ego mind. So today, like that, so investigate like that during the meditation. And once you think of something kind, then make a commitment. Make a commitment. Okay? And if you have already one in your mind, you should develop more. And then at the end, once we have a commitment, then together we will say a beautiful prayer from Great Master Shantideva for your commitment. It's in a handout I give you. So take a look at the last prayer. The prayer, this is very famous, very beautiful. For as long as space exists, for as long as beings endure, until then may I to remain, to dispel the suffering of all beings. We'll say this together, maybe 3 times, for your commitment. This is commitment, bodhicitta prayer from Shantideva, way of the Bodhisattva. Namka chisat ni ba tangdoa chisat ni jiwa tesat dagna ni jir nindrovi dungar server show in Tibet. For as long as space exists, as long as beings endure, until then may I to to dispel the suffering of all being. It's beautiful, isn't it? Now, right now we don't have that capacity, but it's good. We say this every day. That's it. That's your meditation. Okay? So always we always like talk about bodhicitta and years and years and years. But if we're doing nothing, then that's just information. So it's not good. So we should do something good for others every day. I'm not saying big, okay? Again, this don't misunderstand. You can do like small things. Say nice one, one word or something. You can, whatever you want. Today, you promise that yourself. From today, if you want, I'm not also saying that you have to, but if you want, you should. Today I start today until reached enlightenment. I will do this for others completely, pure, 100%. Okay, for maybe you need 5 minutes, maybe you need 10 minutes. Let's say 10 minutes. Think about all this thing. Maybe it helps, like, think about bodhicitta a little bit, about kind mind, think about all others suffering, and think about your life, what is purpose of your life, all of that, right? And then, this is I can do. Then you have to make a commitment and visualize whatever you believe, holy Dharma or your great masters, Buddhas, you visualize that in front of you and you say, I will do that every day. So please help me to remember every day and to help these others. So today is my day, means develop your bodhicitta. So this is great time. So you become a bodhisattva. So you have chance to really help others and attain enlightenment gradually. So you have to, not only your commitment, but you need a witness, visualize Buddha or whatever you believe. You cannot lie, though. You cannot lie. That's why I'm saying you have to visualize somebody, and I will definitely do this. Please help me. That's your commitment, okay? If you don't want to do that, if you think I'm not so sure, I'm not saying you have to do it, okay? But it's really good for you. It's, if you do this, you will do every day this, then it helps your bodhicitta practice, and through that you can develop your capacity. Through that you understand how important to help others and how important to have a pure motivation. That's what we call genuine Dharma practitioner. As I said, otherwise these teachers and students doing right now this practice and meditation, all of this are not genuine. I mean, I kind of I'm losing my faith. This is like 21st century. We are a very dangerous place. We are losing this right now we don't have actually a lot of great meditators. You think about like ancient Indian in India, in Tibet. Oh my God, it's like we have so many great Dharma practitioners, great teachers. We don't have that. We're losing that because we're not doing correctly. So this is not for famous, this is not for wealth, nothing, but it's for others, to help others. That's the purpose of life. So this, what I'm saying, is very good for you, okay? 10 minutes. So first relax both your body and mind. You don't have to think right away. So just make sure that, relax and calm your mind, relax your body. If you want to focus your breath or something else, it's very important. It's a good foundation. Whenever you meditate, this relaxation is very helpful, great foundation. Once you have this foundation, peacefulness, relaxation, then, correct your motivation. I'm doing this for benefit for other beings who are suffering. And then you can think about all this thing, what I said. Okay. Do you have one? Now we say if you have a commitment doing something good, just one thing, good for others for every day, then again you make commitment. And when I invest like this, it's not meditation. So you think about, you investigate all your activities. So when I investigate my activity, my ego's all the time there. Everything mixed with ego so far. Okay. From I was become a Buddhist since when I was 7 years old. So since 7 years old until now, whatever I do, my ego is right there. So I cannot find anything that 100% and without ego. I can't find anything that in my whole life. So that you can see how powerful this ego mind. So that's not Bodhisattva actually, right? Even though we took many times Bodhisattva vows and say Bodhicitta prayers and all of that, but we are very mixed. We are actually, unfortunately, not genuine Dharma practitioner. If we are genuine Dharma practitioner, like for instance myself, since 7 years old until now, if I practice my Dharma practice genuinely, for sure I'm becoming a Buddha right now. So that ego is so bad, So now we'll say, if you have a commitment, we'll say that prayer 3 times. For as long as beings endure, until then may I to remain, to dispel the suffering of all beings. For as long as space exists, for as long as beings endure, until then may I to remain, to dispel the suffering of all beings. For as long as space exists, for as long as beings endure, until then may I to remain, to dispel the suffering of all beings. Okay, take a break.